Property, marriage, and private conversations. Those are the topics you want to know about, and we are asking the attorney today. Mike Marion joining us now to get right started with our questions. Welcome, Mike.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, our first question deals with property, and the question is, what is the difference between community and separate property?
Well, in Texas, it is referred to as a community property state, and the Texas Constitution defines separate property in three ways. First, if you have the property before you get married, then it's separate property. Or if you receive that property as a gift, or you inherit that property, then it would be considered separate property. However, whoever claims that something is separate property, they have the burden to prove it. So it's always best to try to get some legal advice to determine for sure whether or not you're dealing with separate or community property.
Okay, our next question, dealing with marriage. Does Texas recognize common law marriage? If so, how do you know you have one?
Well, Texas does recognize common law marriage. A lot of states, I understand, are not recognizing that any longer. But in Texas, there's three requirements in order to form a common law marriage. The first thing you have to have is an agreement. The parties have to agree that they're going to be married. Secondly, they have to live together in Texas. And third, they have to present themselves as being married to other people in Texas. So like when they go out with family or friends, they introduce each other. This is my husband, this is my wife. So they're identifying each other as a spouse.
Okay, is there a timetable for that? Because some people say, oh, after a certain amount of years that applies, or could it be a certain amount of months, or what's the timetable here?
The law doesn't specifically say that there's any timetable. You just have to have those three requirements met, and then you may have formed a common law marriage. Now, the interesting thing about that, though, Texas does not have common law divorce.
So you still have to go through the process.
Right. So if you're common law married, you have to go through a legal divorce.
It sounds a lot cheaper as far as on the marriage end.
The marriage end, but it can be a lot more complicated in the end.
All right, our last question. Are meetings with lawyers completely confidential?
Generally, yes. There's an attorney-client privilege, and so that privilege extends to the attorney staff as well. So if a paralegal or somebody else is in there to assist the attorney, it is still confidential. However, a lot of times people like to bring a family member or a friend with them, and if you bring somebody else into that meeting with the lawyer, you may have just eliminated that confidentiality. Okay. Now, there's also, if you confess unreported child abuse, an attorney is bound by the law and ethics to report that. Or if you were to say, I'm fixing to go kill somebody or something, the attorney would also have to report that to try to protect the person.
All right, good stuff. Thanks so much. And we'll get your legal questions answered here on Wednesdays. You can submit your questions through the information there on your screen, fox4beaumont.com. Click on Ask the Attorney.